outcomes. But first tonight, we connect you with expert analysis of your favorite, perhaps least favorite, Super Bowl ads. Joining us is David Warschawski, CEO of Warschawski Integrated Marketing Communications. David, it's great to see you.
It's always great to see you, and nothing better than talking about sports and ads all in one place.
So many people watch. It was a great football game. Did the ads compare?
So that's a great question. We always look, is the game more exciting than the ads, or are the ads more exciting than the game?
Who do you give it to?
This was almost like a 50-50. If I had to give a slight nod, it went to Patrick Mahomes and to the quality of the game.
And had it been Lamar Jackson, it would have been no contest.
No question. We're looking forward to 2021 so we can enjoy our Ravens.
You know, there is that question when you're watching the game and I knew we were doing this segment, so any kitchen runs happened during the football part of the broadcast, not the advertising part.
Correct.
I don't think I missed much, and we could talk about what made an impact. But the numbers here, a 30-second spot costs how much?
$5.6 million.
But the number of people viewing
has gone down. So we're seeing an interesting trend. Last year was the first year that there were less than 100 million people who tuned in to the big game. That's been a steady decline over 11 years. We don't have the numbers in yet, how it performed, but we're definitely seeing a decrease in the viewership. But there are other reasons why the spots have become more expensive. Now, the big question that it leads to for most marketers is this a really smart spend? Do I get the ROI from this? And the answer for most companies, most brands, is a 30-second spot for $5.6 million is a small fraction. I mean, their total budget is a small fraction of that.
Procter & Gamble, a big marketer.
Exactly. That's who it's right for. But today, with the digital marketing techniques that we have that can be laser targeted to your key demographics, the ROI is very measurable. That's where people should be looking. But for the large advertisers, the beer manufacturers, the car manufacturers, Super Bowl is still the big daddy of them all.
Because there's no other big daddy, right?
Correct.
If you want to reach 100 million people at once. But you can't make a sale, or can you make a sale in 30 seconds?
So
what's the best you can get out of that?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Most Super Bowl advertising is not meant to convert into something directly. It's more meant to either reinforce a brand or create awareness for a brand. When we talk about marketing for most companies, they want to see a direct ROI result. They're not looking for general brand awareness or sort of the reinforcement of the brand.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a comment, an ad you want to tell us about that you liked or you want to trash, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also email your questions. The email address is livequestions@mpt.org. We want to take a look at some of your favorites. Number one on your list was titled Loretta.
Hey Google, show me photos of me and Loretta. Remember, Loretta hated my mustache. Remember, Loretta loved going to Alaska and scallops. Show me photos from our anniversary.
This spot went on for 60 seconds or so.
Right.
What did you take away from it, David?
I thought this was a great example of the distinction between good entertainment and great advertisement. A lot of people think that to create a great Super Bowl ad, you need big production values, you need a celebrity, you need a sports star. Google turned that on its head and said we can make a very inexpensive commercial, but yet it was the best commercial of the evening.
Powerful, but what am I supposed to go out and buy after watching this?
Again, this is not necessarily, Super Bowl ads are very infrequently about a direct correlation of going out to buy. Google's trying to do probably two things here. The first is Their brand is, how does technology make your life better? How do we improve or give you easier access to the information you want?
Because everybody thinks we're spying on you. This is
Correct.
the rebuttal.
That's the first part. The second is exactly where you're going, Jeff, in that today big technology companies have sometimes a negative connotation. Here we took it from big bad technology company to kind, sweet, empowering for an older generation technology company.
Similar spot in some ways was produced for New York Life.
The ancient Greeks had 4 words for love. The first is philia. Philia is affection that grows from friendship. Next, there's storge, the kind you have for a grandparent or a brother.
Let's go.
Third, there's eros, the uncontrollable urge to say, I love you. The fourth kind of love is different. It's the most admirable. It's called agape. Love has an action.
This is good.
It takes courage, sacrifice,
Just
strength.
tell how much effort, how much thought, the production values in this spot. Again, you're not supposed to go buy anything, but it makes you think a little bit.
Well, this is a great example of, this is a commodity offering. Life insurance, any type of insurance, you can get it from almost, a dozen easily insurance companies. So what distinguishes them? So they went for the emotion. What is it that we're actually selling? Not the insurance, but rather the love that you're providing behind it. And I think they did a really good job of that. It's not an easy sale, but they did it in a poignant way.
Let's take a look at one more spot, and we disagree a little bit about this one. This is for Kia.
Sometimes I wonder what I'd tell my younger self if I ever saw him. I'd tell him, Josh, it's gonna be hard growing up homeless. But you gotta believe in yourself. Be tougher than the world around you. In that field, that's your proving ground. Push yourself to be someone. And I promise someday, you will.
Well, one of the things we have to remember is, first, this was not the best year for commercials. So we're picking winners from people who maybe in the past may not have even made the top 10 list. The second that I'll say is, we have to remember who their target audience is. It's usually the younger generation, and their slogan is tough, never quits. So Josh Jacobs is a wonderful exemplar of this mindset, and that's truly what Kia is selling. Again, a commodity car. It's not particularly a high-end luxury car. It's the car for sort of a younger generation that has that mindset of, whatever you put up against me, I'm not going to quit, and this is the car that's right for me.
And you test these things, right? I mean, you don't just produce a spot, attach it to $5 or $10 million worth of ad time and hope.
So much of this is based on research, you're correct. And today also we're seeing a real paradigm shift, that the actual buy is the centerpiece to a much larger integrated marketing communications program that often begins well before the Super Bowl and ends well after. The centerpiece for that and the necessary piece is the actual Super Bowl ad buy. But when we look at a total budget for most ads today, once you throw in production, you throw in talent, and you throw in the accompanying sort of surround sound, you're looking at $10 million easily for a 30-second spot.
What did you think of Mr. Peanut, which made no sense on TV if you hadn't been aware of just what you're talking about, the run-up online campaign?
Yeah, so that's a great example of where Mr. Peanut,
who works cheap, by the way. Your celebrity cost is very low.
well, we're all nuts about him.
Yeah, very good.
So he's been a great sort of ambassador for the brand. So I was actually surprised to see they were planning to kill him off. I think when you saw the real live commercial, you realized that it was a ploy, and now the baby planters had come to life. And interestingly, it was, I think, the tears of the Kool-Aid guy who brought the baby to life.
Yeah, there's a lot of brand I mean, the P&G spot where they had like 6 different brands in the same spot. Viewer question, so many ads are being diluted in their message by too much fast talk, celebrities, images, and thus losing a focused approach to communication. Am I wrong in my perception? That's sort of what we're talking about.
No,
trying to do too much.
Whoever the viewer is, they're spot on. I think Google was a great example of this. Simple, clean, clear, consistent. And we always talk about 4 metrics. We call it our best model. It has to be brand-centric, it has to be emotionally connective, it has to stand out, and it has to have a clear target audience with a clear business goal. You can't accomplish that with a lot of noise, super celebrities, and too much going on. You need to reach out to your target audience directly with something that's simple and memorable.
Let's grab a phone call from Howard County. This is Steve. Steve, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call. My question is, do any of these ads not make it on occasion? I mean, do they run out of space, or do they just, that kind of thing? I was always curious about that.
Interesting. Thanks very much.
So, really interesting question. And this year, for the first year, one of the reasons the value for the ads went up was that NFL actually cut the amount of times in a quarter that an ad pod was being shown, from 5 to 4. So you actually had fewer slots, and most people are competing either for the first slot, or the last slot. The ones in the middle are not as desirable. So number one is people were competing and often thinking about doing more than a 30-second spot. The second is often companies will actually create more than one version of their commercial and decide through testing which is the right one to show. So often 1, 2, maybe even 3 versions of a commercial do end up in the trash bin. And lastly, there are flex spots, and I think this gets to what your viewer's asking about, where you can buy the flex spot, but if the flex spot doesn't materialize, your ad would run, or it might not run till after the end of the Super Bowl.
Do you, have you ever done a local Super Bowl spot?
Yes.
Is that a good deal? And rough numbers, how's it compare to the $5 million national spot?
So it's considerably less, and again, it has to be the right thing for the brand. One of the things I would tell most companies who are looking at doing a regional buy is this should be a very small portion of your overall annual budget and strategy. If you think of it as the primary or only thing, that's the wrong way to view advertising in the Super Bowl. But in an integrated mix, it can make sense for regional players, and there have been some good ones who've used it in the past.
Lastly, I know you don't do politics, but there were a couple of political ads,
Yes.
which obviously we don't have most years, presidential election year.
It's actually the first time ever that a sitting president had a commercial.
And one
Michael
challenger.
Bloomberg, yeah.
How'd they register with you?
I don't think that politics is really appropriate in the Super Bowl. It's an entertainment venue. But if you're going to do it, it really has to resonate. I thought Donald Trump's ad, his first ad, was better and more poignant on our best model than Michael Bloomberg's. But again, I would prefer to see the traditional type of advertising, and maybe this was a first and hopefully a last time that we'll see presidents and presidential candidates creating commercials for the Super Bowl.
If people want to see your whole list, including your list of losers, did you tweet it? Is it out there somewhere?
Just check out our website, thewagency.com. You'll see multiple links and video stories as well as the full article.
David Warschawski, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Direct Connection continues right after this.